Danny Rohl said post-match against Kilmarnock, it's a small step, no more. He's correct, it was a small step, no more. Let's not get carried away. This is not obviously a sudden beginning of a Rangers title charge. This is not the sudden everything is okay situation. Look, everything is still not 100% at the club. Everything is still not right at the club. There is still an awful lot of damage that has been done to this team, to this squad, to this club by A, mismanagement from the top, Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, and B, whatever Russell Martin did or was trying to do with the playing squad. You know, it seems to me that the players that we have on the squad now, that yes, there are some very bad footballers there that do need to be shipped out as soon as possible. But there are also some players who, to be honest with you, are not as bad as they've been made to look or have been made to look over recent weeks. I think a lot of it is that the players under Russell Martin were genuinely confused as to what they were supposed to be doing, genuinely not knowing how they were supposed to be playing. It's almost like they were overcoached. You know, you give somebody too much information, you give somebody too much to do, they kind of gets lost of what they're trying to achieve, and they don't then achieve what you want them to because they're so confused as to how to get there. There's a saying, isn't it? You can't see the wood for the trees. And I think that was kind of where we were at with Russell Martin, that we couldn't see the wood for the trees, and the players genuinely didn't know how they were supposed to play, where they were supposed to play, and in what style. And I think the damage that's been done by Martin and his coaching staff will take time to undo. Now, Russell Martin is a very poor coach. We've seen that, you know, and I think you look at his time at MK Dons, at Swansea, Southampton, he spectacularly failed wherever he's been, and the football that he's done, he's left footballers, you know, I don't want to say emotionally damaged, but damaged certainly. He does more damage than good. He is a very poor coach. I wouldn't trust him to coach an under-10s team, for example. So Danny Rohl, I think, though, does understand that. And he does seem to get that there is an issue at this club that needs to be addressed. And he's understood that, I think, that he needs to work with the players, that he needs to develop the players, that he needs to turn around what the issue is and the problems are at the club. Now, one really telling thing for me was over the last couple of games that Danny Rohl's been in charge. Now, look, Danny's not had very much time to work with the squad. He had a couple of sessions before Thursday's defeat at Brann, and then a couple of sessions before Sunday's victory over Killie. Obviously, you'll have a couple of sessions before Wednesday night's game against Hibs, and a recovery Thursday, then possibly Friday, Saturday training, Friday full training, Saturday light training, probably ahead of the semi against Celtic. You know, there isn't an awful lot of time at this moment in time to actually work with the squad. You know, his big time to work with the squad will come during the next international break. Yes, unfortunately, there is another international break coming. But there was one thing that was really telling for me. There was times when, in both games, our players had the ball and they were advancing with the ball. And if you looked on the pitch and you stopped the action for a minute, which I've done, there are passes on to the wide areas and to the forward areas. But almost instinctively, some of these players stop, they wait, they turn, and they pass sideways and backwards. It's like it's been coached into them that the first thing they need to do is, if they're not 100% sure, is turn around, pass back, turn around, pass back. And that's something that Danny Rohl will have to coach out of them. And if you watch Danny Rohl on the sideline on Sunday, there was a lot of him shouting, forward, push it forward. He was giving them the order to get up and to push out and to funnel the ball forward. You know, one thing Danny Rohl does as a manager, as a coach, is he is very much a forward-thinking manager. He is a guy who wants to play a aggressive, attacking style of football. He doesn't want to play a passive style of football or a slow build-up style of football or a lateral sideways, backwards kind of football. He wants to play a positive, aggressive, forward motion football where the ball moves forward and you only move it backwards or sideways if you genuinely have nothing on and the situation calls for you to go back, to restart, to recreate. Now, Danny also, I think, from what he's said and how he's spoken, I think has obviously been studying Rangers, been looking at the league, and does get genuinely the type of football that you need to play in this league to succeed. You know, one thing that you find as a top club, in, you know, Rangers in particular, obviously come up against the low block an awful lot. Teams will sit in 10, 11 behind the ball, make it as difficult as possible. Now, under Russell Martin, under Michael Beale, under Philippe Clement, to some extent under Barry Ferguson, there was a kind of slowness to the build-up. And that allowed teams to reset, to drop back in, to set themselves and be ready to defend. And if you play out slowly from the back or you pass it along the centre backs, it gives the teams that opportunity to reset, sit in, stonewall, and it makes it very hard to break down. Danny Rohl is quite clearly trying to get them to play the ball forward quickly, to create overloads, to create, positions of dominance where we can overcome those low blocks. Now, the system that he went to on Sunday, the 3-5-2, was really interesting for me because at times you could create 3 on 2 on the right, 3 on 2 on the left, creating space and time for the ball to be crossed into the box, or for a pass to be funneled inside to one of the attacking midfielders, whether that be Raskin thrusting into the box, Mikey Moore to some extent in the second half. He managed to unpick the lock, create the overloads through his shape and his formation. That's another thing that Danny did that was different to Russell Martin. He adapted, he changed to suit the needs of the game. Russell Martin would never do that. He had his way of playing, and it was his way or the highway. It was 4-2-3-1. It was pass, 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 pass. No progress, slow, boring, turgid football. It was the Poundland Pep, the discount shop, Klopp. That's what he was at the end of the day. He didn't ever really show that he had that tactical nous that Rohl clearly has to break down teams. But as I've said, this is going to take time. It's not a quick fix. Anyone sitting here today, or we're watching this video in a couple of days' time and saying, "Oh, you know what? It's going to be easy from now on. Now we've got we've got a good head coach. It's going to be all singing, all dancing, goals galore, lovely." It isn't. It takes time. Rohl's got to unteach, uncoach, undo the damage that Martin's done, put into place what he wants, put into place that aggressive style of football, that positive mentality. I think that's another thing. People talk about the mentality, and Russell Martin got criticised rightly for his anxiety mentality comments. But I think some of that mentality is not about being scared or worried. It's about having a negative mentality, having a non-positive mental attitude towards games, in terms of your first thought not being to attack, your first thought not to be aggressive, your first thought not to be to get at the opposition. Their first thought is to defend, to be aggressive, to be passive. And that's part of the issue that Rohl's got to unteach and uncoach and put back into this team. Now, we started to see, I think, green shoots of recovery on Sunday. But it's going to be about what we see Wednesday against Hibs, and then obviously Sunday against Celtic. As Danny said, it's a game at a time. And Danny will want to see progress a game at a time, the same way that we'll want to see progress a game at a time. And that for me is the big thing now. Can we start to see that progress? Can we start to see what Rohl wants slowly filtering into the players, so that when they're going forward, they're not stopping, turning and passing back as their first option. Instead, they're looking for that aggressive forward pass. That's what we need to start to look at now. And do we start to see that? And as I've said, he's got a lot of damage to undo before he can get the team to where he wants to be this season. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Drop me a comment. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe. A reminder here on Guys Against Rangers Nation, we don't charge you for any content. It is all free, never will charge you. We don't have Patreon. We don't hide behind pay levels. We don't have members only. We have members only some stuff. We do some members only stuff. But look, guys, please obviously hit that sub and help the channel to keep on growing. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.